In the best of the rest of the news, since he was elected pontiff in March, Pope Francis has delighted supporters and outraged critics with his outspoken attacks on income inequality and out-of-control banks. And now he's made fighting what he calls the tyranny of unfettered capitalism, his words, the official platform of his papacy. Pope Francis's mission statement, the joy of the gospel, argues that combating poverty and greed should be the Catholic Church's #1 role in the modern world. In it, the Pope argues for radical changes to the global financial system and says that as long as the problems of the poor are not radically resolved by rejecting the absolute autonomy of markets and financial speculation, and by attacking the structural causes of inequality, no solution will be found for the world's problems, or, for that matter, to any problems. Whether you're Catholic or not, it seems like Pope Francis has finally given us an answer to that age-old question, what would Jesus do? The answer is simple. He'd regulate the banksters. And at the very least, he'd reinstate Glass-Steagall and keep everyday American savings safe from Wall Street predators. For more on this, I'm joined now by Austin Petersen, libertarian commentator and editor of the LibertarianRepublic.com. Austin, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
I'm guessing you're not here as a spokesman for the Catholic Church.
No, sir, I am not.
The antithesis?
I wouldn't say the antithesis. You know, the Pope has no authority here in the earthly realm. Perhaps he has one in the spiritual realm. But I would say God bless the separation of church and state in this matter. Of course, the Pope fails to realize that from 1990 to 2010, the number of people below the poverty line has gone from 43% in the world to 21%. And the reason why? Because of economic growth, Tom. Because from 1960 to 2000, we had an economic growth of 4.6%, and then from 2000 to 2010, we had economic growth of 6%. That has lifted millions of people out of poverty. And why? Because of free market capitalism.
It's not because of free market capitalism. There's no such thing as free market capitalism.
Well, that's true. Well, it's been fettered capitalism.
Can you identify for me any place where free market capitalism is actually working?
Well, we've never really had totally unfettered free market capitalism, which is what makes this very curious, Tom, because he blames fettered capitalism, but I think what he's really worried about when he talks about inequality there, he's talking about inequality. And the study that I was talking about, I just quoted to you, is from The Economist, and they do say that 1/3 of the problem, or the reason for the poverty rates, is because of inequality. And I think that if you're talking about equality and you want to have more equality, then you do have certain things to create stable rules. You have a court system, for example, so that you can have private contracts enforced. And that is a desirable function of the marketplace. However, when you
that's not the marketplace. That's government.
Well, then when you say if you want to
that's why I say you can't have a free. There's no such thing as a free market.
Well, you don't.
Markets are created by government.
Well,
which raises the question: why do you have markets?
What do you mean? Why do you have markets? So that people
markets
can eat,
are created by government.
People are starving. You know,
right,
under
exactly.
socialism,
markets are produced for social good.
No, they're not, Tom. They are produced for out of individual self-interest.
See, that's where you and I differ. You think that markets are created so that somebody can hustle $1 billion, and I think that markets are created so that we all can live better.
No, Tom. I think that the problem is you don't understand is that under socialism, people wait on bread lines, but under capitalism, they don't have to wait on bread lines anymore.
I've spent a fair amount of time in Denmark, Sweden, Norway. I lived in Germany. They're all socialist countries, and I never saw a bread line. I've spent a fair amount of time in the United States, most of my life. I've seen a lot of bread lines.
Right. Well, let's talk about the Pope, because this is the big issue of the day.
Change the subject then away from socialism.
Well, I would like to change the subject away from socialism, because I want to really talk about the Bible and what it says, because the Israelites talked in the 1 Samuel. It was a big story, and Christians need to understand this, because I think it lies at the very heart of their ethics and morality. But the Israelites cried out, "Give us a king," they said. And God turned to them and said, if you ask for a king, he will take from you, he will send your children into conscription.
You realize that was a warning.
And it was a warning. They said, "Give us a king." And they said, if they do, they will send your children into conscription. He will take from you all the best of your vines and your fields.
No, I'm quite familiar with this story.
You will cry out, and then God will not listen to you when you cry out. So we have to be very careful when we call for more centralized government control.
Every 7 years, you had a jubilee for the land. Every 7 years, the field went fallow. And every 49 years, all wealth was put into a single pot and redistributed to everybody.
That's correct.
If you want to get biblical, I mean, how about a jubilee?
Well,
we got $1 trillion in student loan debt. Never before seen anywhere on earth.
The reason I don't want to get too biblical is because when the Pope talks about equality,
it's because
he denies the equality of women to be ordained as priests in the Catholic Church. So it's very interesting to hear this man speak about inequality when he enforces it.
Economic equality?
Oh, okay. Well, we can't have people being too free in their transactions, but it's okay for them to squelch equality when it comes to women's rights, and we make excuses for that.
So you want to change the subject away from economic inequality to men and women?
Well, I would like to talk about social equality, which is really where the Pope should be worrying about.
So you're afraid to talk about socialism because it
I'm not
doesn't
afraid to
produce
talk about
bread lines.
socialism. I'm not afraid to talk about anything, Tom.
It seems to work quite well. And you're not comfortable with the Pope saying inequality is a problem. Don't you think inequality
no, I think inequality is a problem, but I think...
So what's the solution to inequality?
Okay, great. Let's get to this.
What's Petersen's solution to inequality?
Okay,
you got Bill Gates with $80 billion.
You have to break up the
got homeless people a block away.
You have to break up the stranglehold that the corporations have on the government.
I agree with you. Bill Gates is one of the biggest welfare queens in America. Let's do away with copyright laws.
Wait a minute. I really want to solve this problem with you, Tom, because I think that libertarians and progressives can get together on these kinds of things.
We got 20 seconds.
The corporatism in the system is the problem, because what happens is the corporations write the regulations, Tom, and then they are captured by the government. It's regulatory capture. That's our government has been captured, Tom.
So you will agree with me that we should take our copyright laws and reduce them down to 3 years?
Oh,
copyrights and patents, 3 years.
Well,
what Thomas Jefferson proposed.
Even less, sir. I mean, I'm very much a libertarian when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't think that the government should be enforcing that sort of intellectual property.
No more Bill Gates as welfare queen.
Well, not after 3 years, perhaps.
Okay, there you go. Austin Petersen.
Thanks, Tom.
Boy, the guys who run Facebook are going to be really upset with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping by.